Scott Mendelsohn declares himself a member of the Alita fan club. Welcome aboard, Scott. What's up, guys? Doc Ito here with an Alita update. The Doctor is in. Today, we're looking at the media response to an Alita sequel, and I wonder if some of the opinions have softened as Alita Army has grown, which is, I believe, making the sequel a lot more likely. Of course, remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss any of Doc Ito's free repairs. We covered this article in depth from Scott Mendelsohn when Alita broke 400 million, where he argued that 400 million is not enough for a sequel, saying the movie is not a hit and a sequel is less than likely, and saying that the odds are not in its favor for a sequel, concluding with, as much as I liked Alita and saw it twice, it may qualify as a bad IP. A week later, another Forbes article argued it could potentially get a sequel, saying that while the movie didn't likely break even in theaters, merchandising will be where any real profit margins come, although they thought it could be modest at best. What I think has happened since has been the rise of Alita Army, with things like the Alita Sequel petition at nearly 50,000 votes, and remember to vote for it if you haven't, and the amount of support for Alita online. I think people have noticed this, and we've seen countless Twitter threads where Alita Army has risen up, and people we're wondering where all these fans are coming from. We are not bots. We are incredible fans, just like Best Buy noticed last week as well. And we're also doing our best with the merchandise. Currently, Alita 4K Blu-ray is #1 at Amazon still. This is almost 2 weeks since release. And the regular Blu-ray has jumped up to #4. And these are bestsellers in all movies and TV, including DVDs. If we go to Blu-ray alone, it's #1 and #3. We've seen it sell out at Best Buy online with the Steelbook. And I think these sales are probably great, especially for it being a pre-order and not a movie that's actually available yet. And remember to pre-order the Blu-ray and support Alita at the links below, including the petition. 2 months ago, Scott said he would be pleasantly surprised to see the sequel, so he wants one. But in his initial $400 million article, he didn't talk about the passionate fan base, because I don't think they were aware of Alita Army quite as they are today. In more recent articles, whenever he talks about Alita, he talks about that these movies, while they might have been financial disappointments in theaters, they have a passionate fan base. And looking at John Wick 3, when Scott talks about how it's a triumph of modern movie stardom and franchise building, he mentions Alita as a way to do this well, by succeeding in making people care about Alita, and while it wasn't a huge hit at 405 million, it performed above expectations, attracting a very passionate fan base, because its lead character played by Rosa Salazar was a central focus of marketing. Come what may, Alita performed a heck of a lot better than the likes of Mortal Engines, Jupiter Ascending, Valerian, and if we get an Alita sequel, it'll only be because there's interest or potential in the further advances of its title character. So overall, these are much more positive words, and he acknowledges the great support for the movie multiple times. I think this is a good sign for a sequel. So he's now saying that a sequel is possible, and if it does occur, it's because of interest in this character. We as Alita Army are keeping that interest up. So I do think that the media is softening to an Alita sequel. I don't know if there's any behind the scenes talks indicating that a sequel is potentially being discussed, and then that is leading up to the media being a little more open to talk about it. But I definitely think we're in a better spot now than 2 months ago. And if these Blu-ray sales come through and this movie does great, then, the sky's the limit. And I think we can definitely get our sequel and a trilogy. Which brings us to Scott Mendelson's tweet last week, where he declared himself as a member of the Alita fan club when he noticed that Leda Kalogridis is going to write one of the KOTOR movies, who was also a writer on Alita. So overall, this is great to see the recognition from the media. We saw something similar with John Campea thinking a Alita sequel is very possible after some doubt earlier on.
I believe there's a good argument a producer can make to a studio as to why they should still go ahead and do a sequel to this. And I think you can make the case that with the amount of people seeing it, enjoying it, if you do a sequel, you will get more people out to it than you did the first time around. I'm going to guess that we are going to get an Alita 2.
So I think these are great signs overall. It's great to have someone like Scott on the Alita fan club, and hopefully he can support Alita going forward just like we are, because we do not stand by in the presence of evil, and we will continue to fight for Alita and for the sequel. God bless, and we'll talk to you soon. Doc out.